Cooper and I'm the inventor of the LightRider Bitless Bridle, and I'm going to show you today how to fit one of the rope bitless bridles, the rope natural, and then how to adjust it so that it works really effectively. So first of all we need to catch our horse, and I'll just explain the easiest way to go and catch your horse, because one of the beautiful things of the bitless bridle is you can have one piece of equipment from the time you go to your horse to the time you finish, no changing into another bridle. So to be organised, I like to have my rope as a rein, which is clipped onto the bottom loop of the bridle, and then I'll just have everything in my left hand because that's the easiest hand for putting everything on. Generally I'll just approach my horse and show him the bridle. Obviously if you have a relationship problem and the horse runs off when you show them the halter or the bridle, you might need to do some work there, but this horse is quite okay with that. And by having everything in the left hand, I can pass it under his neck and then use this headpiece to actually lift his head up to actually get the bridle on. So we might need to disturb him from his hay here, but we'll pop that end over his nose, the nose piece, and you see I can lift up with this hand to actually position the bridle over the head. We won't worry about the brow band just at this stage because that's easy to fix up later on. Now, so in putting this on, we just need to make sure that we do the knot up correctly. So this is one area where I often see the knot done incorrectly and the actual bridle will slip down and become loose. So passing it down through the loop is the first stage, and then we tie it around this little loop here. So by taking it towards the eye and pushing it back around, we can take it smoothly around the loop like that. Okay, that means that if it pulls tight, you know, if your horse has a pullback or steps on the rein for some reason, this little part of the loop can always be pushed loose. Now often I see the bridle done up with the loop fastened above the actual loop. This allows the whole thing to slip down and eventually works loose, and this is a really difficult knot to undo because there's no way you can loosen it easily. So I'll just show you again. Now to work out how tight to do this up, basically just use the knot under the neck here as a bit of a guide. So if you have that pushed back under the throat and the noseband sitting, so these knots are below the cheek pieces. We'll check that adjustment in a minute once we've done it up, but that's going to be fairly close. And once that's on, we can actually just pop the ears through the brow band, sort out all this hair, and then we can look at the adjustment. So ideally we'd like the noseband not to sit too low or too high on the head. And of course with the brow band, we don't want that pulled up against the ear. It's nice to have that sitting down just in that little gap between the ear and the TMJ joint here. So ideally we'll have the noseband adjusted so that you've got it 3 fingers below the cheekbones. So if you have it too low, we might, sometimes on a long-nosed horse you might get away with 4 fingers below the cheekbones, but we just need to make sure that when the nose, if it slips down a little bit, it doesn't come up above or below the 2 soft parts of the breathing holes here. Okay, once you get into the bottom part of this nose piece, you actually have fairly soft bone here, so you really don't want it hanging down right there. So 3 finger widths to 4 finger widths at the most below the prominent cheekbones is the ideal position. The other thing to look at to make sure you've got the correct fit or the correct size of bridle for your horse is that this gap under here isn't too large. You really don't want to fit much more than one hand through there, because then you have just too much nose rope here and it just doesn't look very nice. Okay. The other thing is it will all be in proportion, and ideally this little cheek piece here. Whoops, we've had something scare the whole herd. This little cheek piece here needs to sit back underneath with the throat knot against the throat. So if it allows the bridle to do that rather than pulling forward here, you know you've got the good size, the correct size. So the next thing we need to check is that the chin strap actually fits and is the right length. Okay, I'll just show you, we're going to have the whole herd here in a minute, but that's okay. When the chin strap is a little bit too long, what you'll find, and what I see, is that the strap, when you pull on one rein, will actually come too far through the noseband ring here. So the more it pulls through, the less release it will have when you actually let go of the rein. Ideally, we just want to have it come through a little bit so the release works really quickly. So on this one, the other way to check that too is to check how many finger widths below the jawline. So I can actually fit 3 vertical fingers under there. Ideally, we'd only have 2 when it's fairly tight. So I'll just do this up a little bit more. And then check that we've got it in the centre. So if it's actually not positioned in the centre, we can just manoeuvre the rope a little bit. Oh no, that was thin. Manoeuvre the rope a little bit to bring that back to the centre. And then make sure all the little keepers are in place. And that will keep everything nice and neat and tidy. Okay. So then when we actually use the rein, and we clip it on, and if I hold on to the other rein, we should only have about that much chin strap coming through. About 1 inch is ideal, so then it releases really nicely. Don't worry about the plastic keeper pulling through, that's designed to do that. It doesn't affect the way the chin strap will release ultimately, because it actually is very flexible. Okay, so really that's all we need to look at for the fit of the bridle. And the next thing I'm going to show is how to teach lateral flexion and hindquarter yield, so you can be really safe and go through some of the steps on the ground that you need to check before getting on your horse.